Well, welcome everybody. Thanks for being here.
Here we are again.
Here we are at the IB for the month. It's this is May 6th. Yeah.
Of course, it's fun.
Anybody online?
Yeah, is anybody online? See two participants. That might just be.
Just me so far, man.
All right, thanks.
I think Cecilia said something about having a different meeting at this time sometime.
We switched to the first Tuesday so that she could come, but
But this isn't the first Tuesday, right? This
It
time,
is.
so.
It's the first Tuesday of the month.
What's today? Oh, yeah, you're right, it is, yeah.
Yeah, I'll talk to you afterwards.
Oh.
So, we just have a few things to get through, but one of the things, I'm gonna jump right to 3 to discuss projects in progress, but more like. What I'm thinking is as we go into the fall, we're gonna have like a work plan. We're gonna have to submit a work plan to the town council and make it a little bit more formal, and I think it'll be helpful because then we'll have this. Thing that will be part of, I think what I'll do is I'll have it be part of the agenda almost, or if it's not part of the agenda, it'll just be a separate village on there just to keep us a little bit of track, and we can add items, take items, kind of not take them off, but check them off as we go so that we keep track of everything, because we've done quite a bit of things. And it's just that you forget about them because you do them and then forward to the next thing and all those things, but I think this is a really good DEIP group with some really strong.
This has been a great year for
Great year.
momentum,
Yeah.
for kind of a model
Yep.
of some individuals showing, here's my contribution, or here's a priority I think we can. And then getting divided at 1 or 2 other people and doing some work. So
Yeah,
good momentum, good model. That's
Yeah.
a great achievement for this rebuilding year.
Yeah.
If the year ends does the year end in May, June?
I'm thinking what I was thinking, and I don't know what you guys, maybe we could have like a fun get together in July, just somewhere just for the heck of it, and then we start off, so we don't really have. Maybe our last meeting will be June. And then we maybe try and have another short retreat like we did in December, but in September, where we
create.
we kind of start really brainstorming. What I actually like is for us to brainstorm next meeting with ideas that we can percolate on over the summer, but then also have that retreat where we start, it'll be like, let's come together and let's decide what we want to do for the year and be together, have a good time and talk about all the issues that we have seen in the world and the community, and then start focusing in a work plan, with like
Yeah.
3 items.
We could use June to
Yeah.
pick a date together and plan that
Yeah.
in September.
Retreat, yeah.
Sounds good. I like that plan.
And I feel like the 3 of us can say
Yes.
yes
Yeah.
to that
Yes.
being on the June agenda and
Yeah.
a September thing to
Yeah.
look forward to, even though we're small and not really quorum for other.
No.
Business tonight, maybe.
Well, the nice thing is the structure of the committee now, we don't care for.
That's nice,
So-
yeah. We're not going by that.
We're not.
That's called,
We don't vote on anything, yeah,
what's it called?
Yeah. Cause we don't vote, that's all, that's up to
No.
the town council, and we'll submit a work plan based on a consensus, that's all. Consensus.
I personally think we can feel great about this year, like I feel like we got a lot, like a lot of momentum and a lot of things
Yeah.
accomplished for a fledgling new committee that's building.
And I think so one is to have ideas next time and then have us make sure that we all talk about the things we've done so we can compile that, make sure I don't all have a list of things that I have, but just make sure we haven't forgotten anything. So that we can have that list so that next fall, we can say, this is what we did last year.
Yeah.
And this is what was like.
Point recap.
Yeah, a joint bring.
Like, it's been helpful to have Margot's efforts.
Yeah,
even if I'm not
absolutely.
on. Maybe she can make this
She-
meeting.
I think she joined it.
And then Do you know Anne Forman? Okay,
I think,
and June 21st, I know she's working on her walk.
Yeah.
yeah,
Which always comes out of my mouth, it's werewolf, which literally don't stop. But that's gonna be important.
yeah, I'm also working
Are
on
you
that,
on that?
not as heavily as she is,
Yeah.
I just finally went to a meeting, but I'm gonna be working on it.
I'll be out of town, unfortunately.
I know Sarah was canvassing for volunteers at church on Sunday, so that
Yeah,
was exciting
yeah,
to see how my congregation will be involved.
and just FYI, you do have to register
Yeah.
ahead of time to be able to do that,
That makes sense.
that's important to keep telling people.
And so the first thing I just want to let you guys know, so for this next meeting, I'm going to submit to the town council our charge. Say charter for our charge that we've done now. There were some questions. I didn't submit it last time because Sarah called me and had some questions, and then we went back and forth about what we were doing, and I talked to Clint, and we've all agreed that the charge is exactly what we need. So
Perfect.
so I think right now, so that's good.
Okay.
So I will be, tomorrow I'm gonna give the charge, so it'll be part of it'll be part of our town council meeting, and they should vote on it, so we'll see what happens there. And then the other one is coming to a consensus about our two applicants. And I will send in our recommendation for that. And then the third thing I'm gonna do is send in a list recommendation for the Wabanaki Beach
Mhm.
program here. Is there any
Yeah,
questions? you
I
guys
really
have?
liked the idea that
Me too.
once a year, there would be an in-service that
I would love that.
that would be number of hours for the sake of learning about the context of relationships that we're in. So even though I know somebody was skeptical about the suggestions because they involved hours, as long as they're not on the heel of some other things and some other things and some other things, just pile on add-on trainings. If it's a deliberate once a year in service, I think it's totally worth it.
And I personally love focusing it in particular on Wabanaki stuff, just because we live here, like on this land with these neighbors. We can do other things too, but I think once a year for that would be important.
Wabanaki Reach told me, or I was talking to board members at their office location in Old Town. And they said it is really a lot easier to get a lot of things happening in southern Maine and far away. And they said, we really would like to prioritize getting in Penobscot County, these relationships that have the same
interesting.
trainings. Because they said it can be harder, where it's your own
Yeah.
backyard and
Yeah,
It has no honor in its own generation.
Yeah.
yeah,
Right here is a framework area.
yeah,
Yeah,
oh,
and
that's good to hear.
We're moving in a really great direction of having the leadership within the town educated as to our history and the importance of Chief Orono, and that'll just trickle down to the community. And as we
Yeah.
do more events with the community, that'll be, I think that's it's just a blessing for us and for to see where we came from and see the stuff we're here. So I'm excited about what's
Very
going on here. And I think it'll be stressful at times, but I think it'll also hopefully healing for us as a community who ignores where we came from and what was
Right.
here before your beach, so.
I'm excited that it seems like we're at a place in history where we're finally ready to look at it. And I don't mean we, all of us, but
Right.
like more, significantly more of us.
But what a cool thing to.
It's exciting.
Yeah, what a cool thing to be like, knowing about the culture that walked here before us, that.
Yeah.
It's right here in our homes, basically, and in our.
Yeah.
And in our properties, and we're living their lives, and and telling their stories and.
Well,
What was that?
my view is like, yes, that and facing.
Right.
Our history.
Yeah.
Of like the colonizers' history and like looking at ourselves and what we've done as a culture.
Mhm.
Like, finally, let's look at it. Let's not just see like, it's in the past, let's move on. Let's look at it.
Yeah.
And let's look at the harm.
There's kind of a glorifying of exotifying of native things as though they're in the past.
I know.
That was in the movie, I'd heard it abstractly, but I thought for myself in the movie that's about Maine, about the
Done.
boy who got lost on the mountain.
Oh, yeah,
It
On
was
the mountain, anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
Boy from a white father and
Lots on the
their
mountain.
relation. Lost on a mountain in Maine, thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
Well, so that era of
Yeah.
scouting
Yeah,
and kind of the way stories were told about.
Yeah.
Those, I don't wanna speak in defamatory pejorative way, but the stories that were told about those long ago people who
right,
right,
had amazing
right,
spiritual insights and
right.
primitive technology, whatever, and the stories were told in a way that captured the boy's imagination, so he could run through the woods thinking of all those.
right,
But who it didn't do justice by were the living people who are still here.
yeah, absolutely.
And
Yeah,
who's telling the stories, and which stories get told.
Yeah.
So I think scouting and summer camps are challenged and charged in these times to come. From a different direction.
Yeah.
In making,
That makes sense.
yeah. So I think it's just paradigm shifting.
Yeah.
Is both can be kind of invigorating
Right.
and challenging.
yeah, it's all messy. Yeah,
It needs to walk in this land for
Yeah.
people who are present.
Yeah, I mean, we
Have a claim to this land.
yeah, and I know, like, I do it with my own family or with the ancestors where you sometimes make a legend of the people that went before you to the point where they're no longer real. They're
Right.
not real,
Right.
and that's not necessarily helpful. You want, it's okay maybe to have a little bit of nostalgia, but in the end, this is different because those people, there's the living experience of who I am as a family, and the fact that my grandparents that might have rose-colored glasses in it, they still affected my parents.
right, well, that's.
And they live and I lived through that, and so,
Well, in this way that we can make ourselves feel better, like, oh, we're honoring their culture, so therefore, like, we can feel better now, like. Okay, well, we still need to grapple with the ugliness, like, we cannot spiritual bypass that, right, like.
so yeah, so I'm excited about,
I'm so excited, about that. And, I just did the walk for Journey in Peace and, they were just like, we welcome you to this land, like. Geez, how generous is that? Like this is like a formal thing they said at the steakhouse, right? Like they're just. Still saying. Even though all of this has happened, we're officially welcoming you and we're honoring, like, here we all are, and how do we work together to make a world we all want to live in? It's beautiful.
sustainable.
Did you have a thought?
Yeah,
Yes, many thoughts. I was just gonna note for local organizing. I think there were a handful of walkers summer and others from Wilson Center as they started. A handful of people who provided refreshments here in Orono, but 5 to 10 participants out of 200. So like people from across the state knew this was a big deal, but locally it's not really recognized as a big deal. So
Yeah, it's interesting. Well, again, that like local thing, like we have a lot of work to do. And I think there's a ripeness right now. There's a ripeness for this work that maybe wasn't there even 10 years ago or even 2 years ago. I don't know, but it feels like there's a ripeness right now, but yeah, that's a good example of how there's long ways to go.
and your book study built out from the, like
Yeah.
you said, this moment is right. How many more people want to come read your book, and
Yeah, well, and it's so cool because we're doing that. Oh, no, because I told my friend Connie, I said, and I never tell people what they should do. I'm so like, it's your path. I was like, you should read this book. And now the UU Church is gonna do it as their next book, that they're doing, and their book, where it's Sacred Instructions.
Which you church.
In Bangor. So their next book discussion group is gonna do Sacred Instructions. And so this way that like it is rippling out, right? And that's so exciting. And this one that we're doing is gonna continue for a few more because we didn't get the book done, so FYI, because Malcolm's book coming this summer. We decided to just take our time and keep going, so I'm not sure how many more times we'll meet, but. It's gonna depend on how
That's
long
cool.
it takes us, yeah,
That's great.
and it's just been a handful of people, but I feel like
That's great.
that all has ripple effects, right? Yeah.
So,
Now I think back on it. We should have publicized when Molly and Brian spoke at CUF on last
Yeah.
Sunday.
yeah,
We
should have.
And I missed that, so I
Sides
did a
of
walk.
or
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right, good, I know, it's so hard to keep track of everything and what to do, but that would be good. I know, I wanted to come to that, but then I went to the walk that day instead. I need to go back and watch it, I heard it was amazing.
like a 9-day walk. I mean, it was kind of
I
seven.
think it
and then
was
by the end,
8 days, cause it was Tuesday to Tuesday. Yeah,
Do the whole thing.
no, I did 5. Yeah, so not the whole thing, but quite a
You
few.
now have walked any miles of this stretch of this.
I walked a few, yeah, places I never go.
Yeah.
Yeah, which was kind of cool, yeah. And then like in rain and sun and, yeah. Yeah, it was cool, just like the coolest people. Some days I didn't do the whole walk, I just like did part of it, cause I couldn't get there on time or whatever, so. But, yeah, 5 days of at least some of it. And it sounds like she might do it again, so. Might be more opportunities.
So we have our 2 applicants. Yep. And how do you guys
That's
feel?
up to-
Yes,
Yeah,
the 2
everybody's thumb.
Yeah, I looked at
So-
them, they look great, yeah.
So,
And you
Colleen,
wanted
Marcy,
Rachel, I know, then who was the other? one?
Carleen, Marcy,
I don't think I know her, but she looked
And,
great, yeah.
yeah, Rachel Nichols.
Did Rachel, who didn't indicate the specific committee, did she want?
I,
For this committee?
Oh, she didn't ask for this specific
yeah, I
committee.
don't know, it was sent to me though.
Oh, that's
So
something.
library.
Oh, yeah, I believe in yeah, she just didn't check it. But
Yeah,
that's-
it was in her statement, but.
Yeah. Well, I'll let her know if she clarify on it, saying you're in it.
Yeah,
You wanna be a part of it? I mean,
Yeah, I would just ask her
assuming
about
that
the
it's,
commitment, 'cause
yeah,
I know
yeah.
she's pretty stretched thin,
Yeah.
she has 2 little kids, so just
Yeah,
double check with her
I'll
that she
double
actually
check.
wants the commitment.
yeah, that's fine, I'll double check with her and then. on here. Yeah. And that's it, so the plan will be to recap our year. Recap year next meeting. And then make sure that we have a list of the things that we looked at and done and make sure we're not missing anything together, and then maybe just a little brainstorm ideas.
For the September retreat, like get the dates on the calendar and.
Yeah, September,
together.
yes. Retreat, and I would feel like comfortable. Or like even late August, if that works out best. August, early September, but I'm open, it could even be mid-September.
Yeah,
I just wanna get the work plan settled and finished up by October, so that we can
Yeah.
go into November. Discuss leadership of the DEI committee and from there with the work plan.
Yeah, so it's like bring your calendar to the June meeting.
Yeah,
Bring
yeah.
your good memories and records of the
Yeah.
past year. And different pieces will follow. Yeah.
can we, if we put headings on our main like action parts that we're
Yeah.
doing? Like I'm, my kind of focus is like the learning together thing.
Yeah.
What are the other headings of like, if we look at like, okay, we're doing this and this and this, and what's the heading of
I
it?
guess,
Love that question. I feel like everybody's got a piece they would contribute.
Yeah.
All the voices were here, so.
yeah, I think we should bring that to,
Yeah.
Cause I would love
because I'm not
a visual.
exactly sure. I'm
Oh,
not, yeah.
Like if we pick 3, 4 things, like then we can do a
Use the
visual,
board there.
yeah,
Set it up, like, we're
Yeah.
gonna do this, make sure we can.
yeah, and at the retreat too, we can bring, if we know we have visual people, why not bring a whiteboard?
Yeah.
at the retreat?
and not the values, cause like, we know our values like diversity, and but like our action, like, um,
And like our
Dreams.
vision too. It's
yeah,
not just like, it's our, like, what is our vision for the next year, kind of, and then how does our actions flow out of that vision? It's kind of what I'm thinking.
yeah,
I had a
well, yeah,
question
that, for the visual, I wanna do one for the action ones, but yeah.
Our vision for next week, I was wondering,
Yeah.
yeah, cause.
You mean
this-
next meeting?
I know there's only 3 of us. No, next week, cause there was something on email that you were trying to schedule. For the
Yes,
longest time on
yes.
email.
Oh, yeah.
yes, yeah, if the three of us can get together.
Then we thought,
It's just
maybe
a-
tonight we can pick
Yeah.
a time.
Yeah,
Yeah, if
sweet.
if the three of us can get together, I'd be fine with that, I just couldn't
Yeah.
find a time where 3 people could get together.
Yeah.
Let's pick a time where the 3 of us can get together. I'm unfortunately, I do Monday and I can't do
Maybe you
Thursday or
need like
Friday.
10 minutes or like 2 hours?
This is something, I think it'll take us probably an hour and a half.
Okay,
So Tuesday or Wednesday are on the table.
Yeah, Tuesday or
Next
Wednesday.
week.
This year comes up.
And I.
what time were you thinking of for?
Well,
Whoops.
If it were Wednesday,
If it was
Next week.
7,
Tuesday, 6 or 7.
it would definitely be 7.
I can't do Tuesday or Wednesday next week.
Once again, foiled.
Again, how about the next?
You can't, somebody can't do next week.
I can't do Thursday or Friday.
And Saturday's the gala. But the following
Next.
week, I start getting very open.
We tried this Saturday already. The one before the gala, is it 10th?
Yeah, I'll be gone most of the Saturday, I'll be down. And I know that Sundays are just.
What about this Friday?
I'll be out
You'll be
this
out,
Friday
okay,
for international student stuff.
okay.
No.
The following week, my schedule starts getting more open.
Is it still, what is the thing that we're doing? And then will it still be live that week that she just identified?
It will be,
Okay,
yes.
what are the dates?
Monday the 19th,
Mondays are kind of out, but the
but then
rest of the
that
week will be
week.
open.
I'm saying I have pretty good, like especially any evening that week, I think, like I don't even have Thursday dinners anymore now, so.
Thursday would be best.
Thursdays,
Let's do Thursday
the
then,
22nd.
the 22nd.
So,
Let's plan to be at my house.
Yeah.
Is 7 too
7,
late or we could
I'm a
go
night owl, so I can,
7? Let's shoot for 7.
is 7 okay for you, Malcolm? Yeah. Great, we'll at least have the 3 of us.
Yep.
Good,
And I'll try and shoot out, yeah. To everybody. I won't try, I will, I'll send out an email.
the day before that will be Rose's
With more
first
information on
birthday.
it.
The day before that will be Rose's first birthday that I didn't spend with her, so I might be a mess, we'll see. Maybe I'll be fine, but I'll be like, what, like, I'm not with you on your birthday, how is this happening?
Yeah, she won't be done with college or she's done, she's off.
She's staying there this summer, she has an
Okay.
internship, she scored a really good internship for the summer, so.
Well, good. Well, this looks like, is there anything else? We've done the applicants, we talked about, our continuing stuff, you've given us an update on the book club, anything else you wanna? Anything you wanna add? I'm excited for the next year as we get it more like, organized and we're all going in a direction. That doesn't mean we won't add more stuff. We definitely add more stuff as we go, but change direction with, but I think it'll be.
Oh,
Would it,
Outreach is one thing that I was.
would it be doable
Hard.
for you, and I don't know with your schedule, to do up a list of what we did
Yeah,
do this.
that's what I'm
year?
gonna do.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
because
do
that
it.
will help us look at the
Yeah.
categories.
Yeah, I'll make a list of what I remember and what I
Yeah.
have written down and then.
Should we
And
start it
have-
right now, just to, so you have three brains?
I have to go back through my emails.
Yeah.
When I go back. Yeah, but we could start it, yeah, because we had retreat.
Yeah,
We recommended, we had a recommendation. um, For the comp plan.
yeah. We did that training,
Yeah, we sat in
Like-
with staff as
We
they
did the
did their,
staff
what we
training,
hope is the once yearly.
staff training and
book group,
meeting with council, although we didn't have it just with us, but.
yeah,
we did
staff
some-
et cetera training. Book
Um,
group, we did Anila's training
but-
at the
Yeah, it
library,
was great. Training, we have the Wabanaki, or we have the Wabanaki Reach recommendation. There's more, I just have to go back to the book.
In January, we tracked with that the town received back a letter from the
Yeah.
Canada Tribal
Yeah,
Nation
yeah, we have the
registry.
Yeah.
Where that
received,
oops and ouch is ouch and oops.
Scott.
And
provided like consultation, would we say, is that what we did? or-
we didn't, we just formally noted that
That's happened,
Okay.
yeah.
like tracking or
Well, because
monitoring.
the DEIB committee before us was instrumental in getting us, the council to write a letter of apology. for
Yes.
the erasure of the
Yes,
Orono's image on our.
thank
on our
goodness.
Town.
And there's probably more
There's
Work
more that we've
that have
done,
been done
I
by
just have
councilor staff since
Yeah.
January in response to.
Yeah.
So we should also keep
we've,
asking,
We-
what is that,
yeah.
what's been done, where's that?
we have
Is
representation on Ware Walk. That's
Yeah.
we sent Margot, wanted to make sure there was at least one of us going in there.
we ask tomorrow night, since you're listed
Yeah.
on top of your page with things you're taking to the council tomorrow.
Yeah.
Could we ask them just for what we would say is the current state with that? Penobscot
Yeah,
issue?
we're still, yes, I know exactly what,
You know,
I
it's-
know,
okay.
so we received the letter saying that we received your, we have accepted and received your apology. It's still, but they're still considering what to do next, and so we are not, we want them to take their time, think about if they want any recommendations beyond, but they did say they wanted us to have there was a recommendation to have the like cultural assessment, which is going on right now, so. And that they,
Cultural assessment is going on.
yes, and that when that is done, when that work is done, I think James Francis and Ron.
Yeah.
And I can't.
Darren Rocco.
Darren Rocco are helping with that along with other members of the community and stuff. And so when that's done, then they may have more suggestions, but they really wanted, I think that work has to be done before they make any formal recommendations. So what they would like us to do about the signage issue.
When should we ask again, like, hey, how was that
I-
cultural assessment, how did it go?
Yeah, I think this fall,
This fall, we should ask about that,
definitely, or, yeah,
because then we can,
We won't
we
have-
might have some oral committee.
yeah, I definitely. think so.
Furthering those lines that are spreading that word or. Just tracking of what
It's not called the,
work to do.
I don't remember what it's called, the cultural and historical inventory. So we wanted to get that work done before. And it's really in their, like, we want them to feel comfortable with asking and not be pressure, feel like we're pressured.
Another thing we did this year was build up our membership.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll probably still be doing next year. I don't know where we're at.
Yeah.
And Neela did a workshop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, the library,
There
yeah.
was.
And she said she really would like, we could do that series.
The film series would be summer.
Yeah,
What?
that would be the summer. I
The
don't
whole series would be.
think
Oh,
we'll
it's
get
the whole
that.
series.
I don't think that we'll probably get that together.
We'll get that
I
together.
haven't heard anything.
Yeah.
Oh, we're so close, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's okay. And but I do think it's something we should keep on our radar for next summer. Or a fall or something.
Now, coming up is what used to be Arts at Palooza, right?
Yeah. The Orono Arts Fest.
Yeah, are we,
We're not involved in
yeah, would we wanna be, like, what is,
that. I don't know.
Or what is
That's-
the,
that's-
their festival?
Yeah, there's one in the fall. And
Yeah.
I think we could have some recommendations.
Yeah.
Around that. That's a good idea.
yeah, I feel like it might be nice for us to like
I know.
Maybe as a.
be somehow involved in
Yeah,
those,
that would
in
be
those kind
really
of big
great.
community events.
Yeah, actually, we should have a committee presence there somehow.
Yeah,
You know, if this inventory exists by then.
Yeah.
And really to like champion it or say, you
Yeah.
know, have an interactive experience,
Yeah.
out of this booth, and what do you learn from this, where do you see yourself,
mm,
whatever, I'm imagining.
yeah,
what it is,
something
but
that was kind of fun, yeah,
broadening the conversation and
yeah,
this.
I'd really like to see, I'd really like to see us be able, and we, I don't know if we have it right now, but I would really love to have resources to bring, Wabanaki in particular, Penobscot art into the town as a.
art and signage, like,
Nice, so, yeah,
yes,
getting signage.
good,
This is just me, a personal thing.
I
It's
want
like
that as well.
We have, I'm sure that, I mean, we have a premier artisan in our community.
Mhm.
Artist.
I'm guessing
That's
that
gonna be
all
hard.
relates to.
I would love to have
The
murals,
process.
like,
Yeah,
I
that
want murals all over town, like, I just wanna be like more
But-
artsy,
but-
interesting.
but I also-
place.
To be fair, we have to be fair. And, as. In how we have to appropriate monies to make sure that. We don't go asking artists without there's resources.
Without
That's
what?
what I remember, the 50,000.
Yeah.
Approved, voted by council for when such a time as.
Yeah. We've
Shared
used,
presentation, it's ready to.
Yeah.
Move forward on different signage, so there would be money to pay artists and such.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
one step at a
we've
time, yeah.
used, we're using part of that money for the cultural and historical inventory. So to start that off, so we can get more. Trips.
Yeah, so I hear there's steps involved and probably people are looking for grants and things like that that might cover some of them.
But yeah, so this is a good start. Thanks for brainstorming. Do you thought of anything on it?
When I think of fall, when I think ahead to fall. One intersecting thing that happens in the fall
Yeah.
is doesn't the Hudson Museum have this big
Actually,
basket? That's.
Yeah, so like a Wabanaki market, I
Yeah,
think.
so I wonder like
Yeah.
how these town festival and
Yeah.
something that's significant on Marsh Island, how do those.
Yeah, I don't. we
Like
have
to
any-
your point about art and arts, and
Yeah.
you said basket maker. And the second thing I thought about. Is a whole other topic, which is when the new. Year's worth of students begin residence. And some live down the block from someone who's just had a traumatic experience with students. I keep thinking of.
wait, what? Like I just missed something.
The Orono assault / hate crime that was reported in the paper last week.
Oh, I didn't see it.
Okay, so what council has heard about that was that the couple involved, the gay couple, had gone out to tell trespassers not to be on their property and one had a phone, take pictures. And the group of young men interpreted that as escalation and went after the person and physically assaulted him.
Wow, okay.
And he heard anti-gay epithets the whole time, so.
Okay. So it was related, yeah. Where was this?
In the Webster Park neighborhood.
You can
Ah,
look at last town, not this Monday, but the Monday previous to this.
Okay,
You can hear about it.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah, thank you.
I think things will continue about that incident
Yeah.
and prosecution and appeals will. But as I think about a new crop of students next year, and I think in terms of prevention.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wonder how, like, local folks who've already done things that are like show up to Pride and.
Yeah.
And be a big community presence. I wonder how those folks might like to. Do something like with the coming rat house, and say, here's what, I can picture. The grannies from my church
That would be
down
awesome.
doors and giving out a little,
Yeah.
here's how we treat people in our community. And if you're tempted to be not nice to your wonderful neighbors.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
here's what
Yeah,
you should
we
know
would-
about what happened last year, and it did not go well for the students who did those.
Mhm.
Okay.
I think one thing that even, I mean, before this occurred that both Dan and I as part of our work on the council have been throwing around, and it would be nice to have help. Is coming to the hot spots that we have these frictions with next year in the fall, and bringing maybe like hot dogs to the people who
Yeah.
are moving in with literature that's like, hey, this is your rights as a renter, and here's your responsibilities as a community member.
Yeah.
These are the things, and we had this incident last year. And so we're tightening up the ordinances on noise issues, and that we know you don't want to run afoul of this, and this is what's gonna happen, so you're hearing it from us, and you're also getting some information. And if you're in this, and like one of your neighbors is having something go out of control, here's what you do, here's who you call, so that.
One thing when I think
So
about.
that we can all be good neighbors.
But like maybe like a block party, like the
Enforce.
music fun,
That
yeah,
would be fun, that's what I'd like to do,
and do it as a block party.
yeah, I think that's.
So that it's like meet your neighbors and also like, here's how we live as a community here.
I think that's what Dana.
Sounds like there's a lot of wavelengths the same
Yeah.
in terms of being more present.
Yeah.
And making new norms for them to live up to instead of wait for things to devolve. I wanted to say
Like you
about
said, especially the
ordinances.
hotspot places where we know that there's a lot of like like, where I live, there's nothing, like it's.
Yeah.
But like, Webster Park neighborhood, but that's a
Yeah.
lot more student housing.
I would be careful, this is in thinking about all the intersecting issues that we
Yeah.
think about in DEIB work. With ordinances on noise or anything that. Over criminalizes
Right.
people, because who will be applied this disproportionately against.
Yeah.
The students of color. If by neighbors in general, I don't mean that one
Right.
hotspot. And I don't mean about that one.
Yeah.
Anti-gay issue, but I do mean the people who've had police called on them most in a majority of a place like Orono are non-white people, and when points of contact. Like turn down the music become, you just broke a law.
Right, yeah.
There's a lot of impacts from that I don't think people are thinking about when they're thinking about.
Do you know that to be true, that that's the majority of calls on noise? Or
That it's that noise ordinances have racialized impacts.
right, but I
is
mean, do you
true.
know that to be true in Orono, that that's been the case, or,
I know it to be true in the state of Minnesota,
oh, okay,
and I think
Okay.
Maine is very similar to Minnesota.
We could, yeah. I think that the properties that are, there are some properties that are repeat offenders. And I think they're just your regular average being student at the
Yeah.
moment, and so but if we can try and delve into that. But I agree with you that we don't want to cause unnecessary problems for students going in the future, and I don't think any of these are just like misdemeanor type, like getting a ticket.
Yeah,
Like,
I think if you graduate UMaine and you think, where am I gonna live?
yeah, I want
If you're
to
a
come
person
here.
of color, there's a lot of
Yeah.
places you might go before you would go to Orono. We've
Right.
seen different pressures on why not, and if your community has a lot of
Yeah.
seemingly unrelated statutes, open beverage, open container laws, traffic or traffic lights out on your vehicle, you get stopped for that. If there's noise ordinances, you add all those up,
Yeah.
it just becomes a whole host of things that say. This could be a heavily policed community that would not be my best interest. That's
Yeah.
me trying to interpret a big.
Yeah,
bad
and I think,
research. I mean,
yeah, and I'd have to
overstate
see,
things, but
yeah, but I think also we'd have to see what it's like in other college towns.
Yeah,
Because this is a unique situation
yeah.
that you just don't get in
Things particular.
a lot of communities where it's maybe worse, I don't know, in college towns, but I think it'd be interesting to look and see what it is and like around the St. Cloud neighborhoods, it's the college there, what as opposed to some exurb in Minneapolis where there's no, you know what I mean? I think
Mhm,
there's a,
yep.
there's a component. Or like Bemidji,
Yeah.
where there's Bemidji State or something.
Yeah.
there to-
Or the
Mankato,
area.
I don't
Yeah,
know, Mankato may have,
they may have done some research, and I wonder if they can get that research, and figure out what's the way to.
I know,
Address.
yeah, and I think that there are some, but, you know. Whatever we can do to minimize, like. Really bad behavior, I think, we will try and do it in a way that's fair and appropriate. It's. Yeah. Like, I think there's a lot of this, like, you don't trigger significant issues unless you're having a party that's over 20 people. You know, that's a totally different level as opposed to just being loud. There's like 2 or 3 of you. They come and they're like, turn down the music, and that's a totally different ordinance level than if you're having like a rager.
You make a great comparison. To some college towns where. Different things are in play.
Yeah, I just
Crowd
don't know.
dynamics. Increased diversity. Town residents. How does all that interact? And in this case. It was white on white violence. That's what we're trying to
Well,
recover from.
definitely. Well, thanks, guys. I think that's it, unless there's anything else you guys want to talk about. Before we go.
I just wanna circle back to what you're saying
Yeah.
about like, if you're doing a preventative thing, like. There is a difference between pointing out an ordinance and pointing out, here's how we're kind neighbors. And like, if I'm receiving it, if I'm just like, hey, let's try to be kind and not be too loud, so that like, we're all like comfortable and like our 6-year-olds can go to sleep at night. That feels different than like, here's our ordinance, and if you break
Right,
it, you're
yeah,
gonna be
yeah,
in
yeah.
trouble,
No, I get
right?
that,
Like,
definitely.
there's a very,
Right.
like, it's just how you present it is.
I'm sure
Is
that
different,
whatever the consequences were would be the deterrent.
And I
These
think
students this year, whether it's
But I think
their fraction.
as soon as you go to
whether
consequence
this
versus
student-
kindness, you
Whether the
take it.
campus.
Yep.
Whether the campus drew a line, I don't know, because.
Yeah. I don't know, we don't know if these are students or not, but 90, I would say 98. 99% of the students are wonderful and
Yeah.
most of them need exactly what we're talking about, like. This is
Yeah,
what
how we lead this.
you're now, you've been, your experience in your life has either been at your home. Or in the dorms, and now you're a community member,
Yeah.
and this is how we act when we're
Yeah, I think
members, we
the-
have a responsibility
The
to.
culture of. A group of
Yeah.
males after 2 AM, if they're
Yeah.
drunk. I do think they need in
That's a
their
problem.
hearing. To have known the story of somebody who knew a consequence for rape.
Mm,
And so if they've already made that choice, oh, I'm gonna notice there's the line and not do it.
Yeah.
That's important. So stating a norm, not just invitationally,
Right.
but also as a
yeah,
thing.
I know in my neighborhood, which is very quiet, which I'm very thankful for. Usually in September, there's some loud music once or twice, and then. They must get called and and then it never happens for the rest of the school year, so that people do learn, oh, okay, this is the norm here, I can't turn this up or somebody comes, cause it is almost always once or twice, and then it never happens again all year.
Yeah, but we, 2 houses down from us, we had high schoolers and and they would play their music and be basketball and be really loud, but then they'd go, you know, they'd turn it down, go to bed at night, and I'm totally fine with that, it's like.
Right, if
have a
it's
good
like,
time.
if it's not.
Yeah, it wasn't,
right,
it wasn't every day, it was like maybe once or twice a month, it was like, yeah, have fun, be out there, play basketball, you know, enjoy your friends and stuff, but. So there is a difference between after a certain time, then things start to. And then when alcohol is involved, then things can get really out of hand, so. Not that, yeah, I mean, they can also be perfectly fine, people are being responsible.
Right.
So. We want this to be a place that is accepting and kind and everybody is welcome so long as they are sort of being kind and welcoming and thoughtful. So.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but the college students, you know, I love being in a college town, it's both an amenity and a challenge. So.
Well, and I like, it comes back to Sherry's book that we're reading, like, she talks about, like, with every right comes in a commensurate responsibility,
right.
and like this way, like, okay, we have rights and we have responsibilities to each other when we live in a community, which we all, to some degree, live in a community, but.
Great power, it's great responsibility.
Yeah.
Nothing like a little comment there, right?
Yes,
So Spider-Man was told by his uncle, you remember?
I remember that.
Yeah.
So. Talk more about the fall, I guess we get to figure out what.
Yeah.
Are the opportunities for helping build that culture.
Yeah, I like that, and the more help we get, the better off it will be for us. I'm gonna have a table.
I love the idea
downtown.
of doing it neighborly,
Yeah,
like
Yeah.
hot dogs or cookies or
Yeah.
whatever, just like, let's meet each other.
because you said the town festival, or
Yeah.
days, or
Yeah,
festival.
Orono days, yeah. It's gonna be like the second end of September.
So is it separately happening this year?
So the second,
Unless, I mean,
and it's.
well, not definitely, but like it's, we're really moving in that direction.
Yay.
And it's typically in one place in the
Yeah.
village,
Yeah, I think right now, all
but I kind of wonder if we have a message that's about. What kind of culture we built here. Maybe it
Yeah,
I think we need to have some
migrates
satellite.
between, yeah,
Yeah, I think we need some satellite things that may be a little bit different than just that one event, but we need some satellite ancillary things about this is, we're a community, this is how we are. You know, it might be before and after
yeah,
event, but part of that is kind of the. And now that you've got to meet us, we're gonna have this festival and you're welcome to come.
will we ever know whether the perpetrators in this case were students?
I don't, I assume that that the court case will be open. The names and everything, they're like, so I'm assuming you can see what the charges. Things were, and you can find out who the people were, I don't know, cause they're all over 18, so. I haven't looked at it. And I know that the university is concerned and they were at the meeting too. University people, 'cause so I'm sure they've looked into it themselves and they could be, they could not. I don't know.
Yeah, 1920 renters was what the judge was. Well, I know this was on our parts of it, on solving it, but it does help to talk about it.
Yeah, it hurts, it does.
yeah.
So it's a tragedy.
And I know that people, when they're angry about it hurting, will reach for any kind of solution.
Yeah.
And I see that sometimes in myself, but I also don't wanna do nothing because I.
Yeah.
Don't wanna be this version of myself, I don't wanna do nothing either.
Yeah. We're talking about it, so,
And I think, I mean. We have to balance, we want the process to work out and we want, people who are charged to go through. The right process. Need to allow the justice system to work its way and to find out all the facts and bring justice to the situation. Both for. victims and for perpetrators, they. To have the process go through, so.
I have no faith in our justice system.
Yeah.
The word justice doesn't apply for it for me, but I was gonna say that, but.
Also, it does not.
But my definition of justice is
Yeah,
not punishment
yeah.
though, and that's part of like,
Yeah.
part of my issue is like,
Yeah.
we
that's-
equate justice and punishment, which I don't. And if I did, we don't usually punish a lot of the people. Like if I did, like, so anyway,
I totally.
I don't have that
I
trust.
totally
Yeah.
understand what you're saying. I think when we ignore process, then we can get to some dark places.
oh, yes, no, I agree, vigilante justice is not, yeah,
That's all, that's my only comment.
yeah.
But
Yeah,
yeah. it's done.
But I think, what is the term, restorative justice, is that the term, where there's this other process that happens?
if the victim wants it.
I don't know if that's. Anything that the town of Orono could be involved in,
Like that's
they can have us have more of that here or not, but it in the right, it's not right for every circumstance.
Yeah, that's interesting because
You
the.
know,
the
like this might be one where it would be.
Was the first complaint, right? And there's
What?
no- That's interesting to say, could there be an occasion
Yeah,
where our town has a restorative justice tool to offer?
right, like this
because
might be
we-
a situation for that.
These same people were concerned about hate speech for years prior,
Mhm.
not the same neighbors because they're 19 and 20 and they come and they go, but different neighbors, hate speech. So they were concerned about that going unchecked, which sets a culture. And what are the precise consequences for hate speech? Well, it's there's no single authority that can say what that is or how to crack down on it. And you wouldn't want it if there were. So it's not like the town can make that go away. But is there a resource that can operate differently? Yeah, restorative justice in the case of like, anti-gay slurs and defaming speech when it's neighbor to neighbor. Restorative justice could be pursued by.
It's more likely to lead to something meaningful than a consequence, right? A consequence
Well, it
is
is. I
unlikely
would
to
say
change
it's-
someone's heart and mind.
It's the hardest consequence of all to sit down across from
Yeah.
someone wrong and hurt.
Right.
You have to see in their
Right.
eyes that you don't do. But I think.
But there's
that-
also a chance for growth there, whereas often with a consequence, there isn't growth that usually happens. And some, we're at like levels of moral reasoning and like for some people. Like they're at the very bottom and like consequence is the only language they speak. And if that's the case. You're not gonna do much, but there's all kinds of other people that are above that level of moral reasoning where. A different track can actually make traction for them,
Yeah, I think people are steered by various pressures more than we want to admit. But though I don't favor punishment in a legal sense, I think there are really helpful growth processes that people can go through.
Yeah.
That are not always pleasant.
Anyway, I have no idea if that would
Fraternities have to
be any
figure out what
role,
that is for them.
what?
Fraternities have to figure out how to set a culture, if they're,
Right.
if they're gonna be a fraternity. That raises the standard for their members. And I don't know if that, why isn't this case here? Just. Let's set this down, sorry, everyone, the meeting is going on and on.
Yeah,
It's okay. Thank you, guys.
thank you.